did this week's CKL poll. Just wondering, I mean, who are you looking at? Maybe is like the last guy. I mean, if you came down to it and you only had one seat left for these 3 or 4 guys, who would you keep on the squad? Looks like a majority of the folks that weighed in on the poll and voted, like Nico Remigio. That dude's a fan favorite, and he's like a cult hero in Chiefs Kingdom the last couple of years.
He is really. Yeah.
Didn't catch on with the team last year, and didn't exactly like catch on and light fire with somebody else either. Yeah. So let's just go down the column here. Nick, how are you feeling about the Chiefs wide receiver room, and who do you think you would pick maybe as like the last guy to take the last wide receiver spot that's open?
Well, if you look at our top 3 going into last year, right? It was Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, and MVS were our top 3.
That was kind of the consensus 1, 2, 3 last year.
Yeah. So I mean, and now we're looking at Rice, Hollywood Brown, and who would you put at 3?
Probably Worthy.
Man, I don't know, with him being a rookie, that's tough. I mean, I don't know, a guy like Justin Watson that's got some experience. I know he's got the foot injury now, sure. But I mean, myself personally, I'm probably looking at Rice, Brown, and Watson is my top 3. That doesn't necessarily mean that is the top 3 or will be the top 3, but that's probably who I'm rolling with. Nick?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say that based on what we know about those players, at least the top 2, I mean, I feel pretty good going into the season. We know what Rice can do. We know he can perform. We know he can perform in crunch time. Got a huge 3rd down conversion in overtime in the Super Bowl. So you know that dude can do it. We've seen Jay Watt come through, right? You know, in clutch situations. Hollywood Brown, I mean, it's yet to be seen what he does for the Chiefs, but he's a solid number 2 receiver, I think, for a lot of teams in this league. So I feel good about that. Look, I don't know. But I still not ready to let go of Justin Austin. I think that
something happened to your audio, Nick. Is it just me?
Oh, really?
Yeah, Mike's doing the fuzzy thing he was doing last week. Yeah, now you're back. Now that you said something about it, I was riding it out to see if it would come back in, and then Bo said something.
Too.
Now it's like,
it was just enough to fuck me up while I was talking.
Usually, I can follow along with what you're saying, but that's how it's.
Yeah. So I'm still riding with Ross. I just think that his body, his skill set, I think is the best out of the what we've seen of the people in that group. So.
Yeah, Bo, I mean, you're looking at, right now, so if you want to say that Rice, Brown, Worthy being a first-round pick obviously is a lock. Watson, you're talking 4. I mean, if you're keeping 6 receivers, maybe you see 2 of these guys on there, but, I mean, how are you looking at the wide receiver room for the Chiefs, and who are you picking here maybe for one of these last spots or 2?
Yeah, our receiving room's just like a little bit of a to be determined, in my opinion, right? It's interesting. The Madden ratings came out this week. I don't know if you guys saw it. I think our best receiver got an 81. I think Rice and Brown both got 81s as their overall. And so it's interesting to see, like, you know, I mean, that's obviously not a predictor of any kind of talent, but these guys are pretty good. They're pretty on it, right? And so it's interesting to see like Nick alluded to, what Brown will do for the Chiefs, right? Like, he could instantly come in and just be a game changer. And we all know what Rashee Rice can do. But that Rashee Rice has, you know, looming pending legal troubles hanging over, and you just don't know when and if he's probably going to get suspended. So that's a little iffy. I voted for Ross in your poll, man. I've always been a fan of what he can do, his size, his speed, his athleticism. I think he's the complete package when it comes to receivers. Sure-handed, just an overall talent, and I really think that he's gonna sneak his way onto this roster this year and kind of be a really productive receiver. But you guys bring up Justin Watson. I mean, it kind of like, we'll see day to day, right? He could be Eric Berry day to day, and he might not get his shot. You know, let's hope not. But to me, all signs are pointing to Worthy's going to get a start, man. Like, he's getting 1 reps in practice. Everybody's talking great of him. Like, he can fit into the system, no problem. He's learned the playbook well. Has a pretty complete route tree. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him get more reps than not, and I wouldn't actually be surprised if we see him start.
Right. Yeah, it looks like we got our man Travis is checking in. Good to see you. Welcome back to the show, Travis. Hope all's been well with you. Kevin's in here in the chat. Looks like we got Red Knight
Hello.
watching on Rumble. Good to see you, Red Knight. Thanks for checking in. Yeah,
Thanks for stopping by, gents.
we're hoping for that three-peat, man. I'm ready for it. That's the goal. The Chiefs are the favorite for it right now. Yeah, I'm right now. I'm just looking at Tony and Moore. I know there's some people saying that Tony looks like maybe they're going to use him in more of like a hybrid running back, gadget, wide receiver role. Sky Moore, some people were putting some stats out about him, how he actually has a pretty low drop rate and his separation wasn't as bad as people were saying. But I don't know, man. This is the NFL. Tony and Moore, they had their shot last year and they didn't necessarily capitalize and take advantage of it. I would like to see somebody new get a chance. I'm intrigued by Remigio. He's a young guy. I mean, he flashes. He makes plays. But Justin Ross, to me, I just think he's a guy that's got an inside track with the hype that he had and the production in college. I know it was kind of short-lived, and injuries kind of sidetracked that whole hype train, maybe knocked it off the rails a little bit. But the Chiefs signed him immediately after he went undrafted. They've kept him on the team. He had the legal issues, was on the commissioner's exempt list. They are keeping the guy around and keeping him on the team. I think maybe they see the most upside in him. And that's why they haven't just kind of cut bait and let him go. So, I mean, I'm probably going with Ross. I would like to see Remigio and Ross on this team. Tony and Moore, man, I think you've seen what you got with those guys, right? I mean, am I missing something there, or are you guys looking at them having a redemption year, getting another chance, or what are your thoughts on Tony and Moore kind of going into this season, Bo?
No, yeah, I could easily see Ross and Remigio making it over Tony and Moore. I just can't help but feel that like Tony's got some like banked credit with the coaches and the staff for his performance in the Super Bowl. You know, I mean, he does have the asterisk of like the longest punt return in a Super Bowl. But I'm with you. He just hasn't been that productive of a guy. He's always kind of injury prone. I think he just got hurt today or yesterday, right? We were talking about that. Yeah. Moore's actually been impressing me with the footage I've seen in training camp this year.
Yeah.
But that's kind of been his case for the past 3 years, right? He's like, oh man, look at what he's doing in practice, and then it comes game time, and he just isn't anywhere to be found. I'm with you, dude. I would love to see Ross and Remigio. Ross, I already gave him his flowers and sang his accolades, but yeah, Remigio is like one of those guys that everybody in the kingdom seems to love and is getting behind, and he's also balling out in training camp too. So I mean, yeah, I could see those two guys on top of your poll. Maybe making the team over the bottom two, actually.
Nick, expectations, thoughts on Tony and Moore on the Chiefs this year?
Whatever he deposited into his bank account with the Chiefs, he withdrew that and more, I think, last year with the drops. And then, I mean, look, the guys showing up at the Super Bowl media night and they're asking him about, things that he said and posts on social media, which, I mean, I know we use some bad language here, but I'm not going to repeat what he was saying. So, but he's talented, right? I mean, and ultimately, if they can solve the personality issues, so I just think that the upside for Ross.
Again, Nick, sorry, man. I don't know what's going on, but your audio keeps cutting out.
Audio. All right, let me drop that.
Well, until Bo says something about it, and then it comes back in. So
then it immediately comes back when I start talking.
It's like clockwork or something. So I don't know what's going on with Nick's audio. He's working on that there. So yeah, look, it's a open competition right now. I mean, Moore and Tony left that door open last year.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, they had their chance, and they definitely did not take the bull by the horns, right? So I think Patrick Mahomes obviously elevates guys, right?
I
mean, you talk about making everybody else around you better. So Yeah, I'm all for getting some new blood in there and seeing what you got. I just, I'm a believer in like what you've seen, right? And the proof is in the pudding, and it wasn't there the last couple of years with Tony and then more, whether it's injury or not. I mean, I know he had the punt return in the Super Bowl, but outside of that, I mean, he had the one flashy catch where he was adjusting his gloves on the sidelines at one time, but he doesn't
But
have.
man, his drops were way more like they stood out way more than
not,
his good plays, right?
Right. He has not really put together a career highlight reel that impresses anybody. I mean, it doesn't impress me to this point. So
he is one of those dudes that you could just like you can see how fast and how physical and how athletic that guy is, but like you said, just hasn't done anything with it to be like, oh yeah, this is our guy.
Yeah. Chief Bloody Grass is on the Remigio. He's on Club Remigio. Looks like Jan's kind of agreeing with us here. So, Nick, you kind of got cut off there. You were talking about Tony and Moore.
Yeah, no. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. For now.
All right. Yeah. Supply chain. I got to pay some bills, I guess. I got to pay my internet bills. Yeah, look, I think you know what you're going to get with Sky Moore. He's a below average wide receiver. I don't think he's suddenly going to start popping. I could be wrong, but I just don't think you're going to see it. You would have seen it already if that were the case. Tony, we know he has a talented upside, but character issues and injury proneness, right? I mean, they've plagued his time with the Giants and with the Chiefs. He's had some fine plays for us, which we'll always be thankful for. But I would go Remigio and Ross. I mean, over both of those guys for those reasons. I just think that we've seen what Remigio can do. I mean, the guy's made some outstanding plays for us in preseason, and then I already talked about Ross. So